Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hatha Yoga. We complete our 5 days of exploring the five elements. And today is about ether, also known as space. So if you think of ether, it's where everything happens. And it represents clarity, like I said, space, emptiness. But ironically, the ancient yogis um, perceived ether as unbound and all pervasive. And so it's the element of pure potentiality. So, in that empty space where anything, infinite possibilities can happen. Let's begin lying down. We're going to start in Shavasana here. Let your legs be as you need them to be so that you feel relaxed in your lower back and the rest of your body. And then as you're finding a moment of stillness, I invite you to pay attention to the negative space surrounding your body, like the empty space between your back and the floor, between your ankles and the ground, between your neck and the surface below. See if you can notice the smaller crevices of empty space, like maybe between your last two toes, your pinky toe, the ring toe. And then, like a camera zooming in its lens, invite you to pay more attention to the spaces within your body. Like when you exhale, the space that remains in your lungs. And the space in your belly. And then the little crevices in your sinuses, which allow vibrational sound. So as we pay more attention to space, the ether element, how do you take up space? Like right now, as you position your body in Shavasana to what's natural for you, are your limbs extended very wide apart? Are they very close to your torso? Just being curious. How do you take up space in life, in the places that you go? Another question is, how do you give yourself space? If you might live in a busy city, you might be surrounded by lots of stimulation, perhaps attending to many things or multitasking one after another. So how do you give yourself space? Mentally, space to wind down, to balance off all the doing, all the thinking. We'll also play with how our voice, how sound travels through space. As we stimulate the throat energy center, Vishuddha chakra, energy of clarity and communication, truthfulness, self-expression, but also of listening to understand. So let's play with that now as we just bring a hand to the throat gently, a hand to your chest. Allow your breath to deepen on the inhale. And clear it out with any sound as you open the mouth. Again, inhaling, fill up space in your lungs, your belly, your back body. And then any sound, let it travel. Ha. This time, chanting one long sound of Om. Take a deep breath. Om. Then start to deepen the breath, filling up your entire torso from pelvic floor up to your neck, front of the torso, back of the torso, left and right sides of it. Take up space with the in-breath, and then feel empty space as you clear it out. So long, spacious breaths. And if you like, starting to warm up using Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breathing, in which you gently narrow the back of your throat, breathe through the nose, and create a soft whispering sound that helps you to track the quality of your breath. So with that, start to bend your right knee into your chest, taking hold of your shin or your thigh. Let's loosen up the right ankle, just slowly rotating the foot in both directions. As you ground the backs of your shoulders, draw them down away from your neck. And then we'll add wind relieving pose, Apanasana. As you exhale, gently press your right thigh closer to the right side of your abdomen, a gentle digestive massage. Inhaling and exhaling, gently compressing the right lower abdomen. Try that a couple more breaths. You might start to point and flex your right foot, stretching into the calf, into the shin. And then from here, slide your right leg to the floor, bend your left knee into your chest. Slide your thigh just to the outside of your left ribs. And then give your left foot some movement, rotating. Take a deep inhale. Fill up especially into that left side of your abdomen. And as you exhale, gently press your thigh towards it. A few more breaths like that. Switching directions as you rotate your left foot. And maybe begin to point and flex left toes. And then from here, bend your two knees into your chest. Open your thighs apart. Lift the soles of your feet so they're parallel to each other as they face the sky. Taking hold of your outer shins or feet. Draw your tailbone and shoulders into the ground as you lengthen up and down your spine. You might imagine breathing in through the base or bottom of your spine, lifting the breath up each vertebra to your crown. And then breathing out, visualizing the breath descend from crown down to your tailbone and out. Just take a couple more breaths here. Maybe even rocking side to side, gently massaging your sacrum as we open up across the lower back and into the hips. Slide your hands to your outer thighs, draw your bent knees together and begin to round into a ball. Now, rocking and rolling forward and back several times. So using this to just get some energy flowing, wake up a bit, massage up and down the spine. The next time you rock forward, let's come down to hands and knees, all fours, spreading the fingers wide and flat. Have your wrists under your shoulders. Have your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Entering Betalasana or cat-cow as you inhale. Glide your chest through your upper arms, rolling the shoulders back as you gaze up. While exhaling, contract your belly, tuck the tailbone under, rounding your spine. And then take several more cycles at your own slow, mindful pace, listening to a steady and balanced breath. Can you feel the space you're inviting into the front of your spine as you take a deep inhale? And into the back of your spine as you exhale. And take another cat-cow or two, tucking your toes. And when you're ready, exhaling into downward facing dog. Give yourself a few breaths there if you'd like to shift around in your own way before we hold still. Finding some space in the backs of your legs, your calves, your hamstrings, perhaps by walking the feet in place a few times. Maybe even swiveling your hips left and right as you do that, opening up the sides of your waist, your outer hips. And then feel the lightness in your neck as you completely drop your skull, maybe moving it around gently a few times. Let your shoulders rise away from your neck. Spread your shoulder blades wide across your back ribs by rolling your outer upper arms to face the floor. Root down through the base knuckle of each finger, especially the thumb and index, spreading your fingers brightly. Index fingers both pointing forward parallel to each other. And as you invite the most space available up and down your spine, as if you have a flat back, feel free to bend your knees any amount as we now hold still, about 3 to 5 breaths in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So steady your eyes on one spot and listen to your breath. You might be feeling your shoulders getting warmer as we hold still here. 2 more breaths. Draw the belly in, supporting the lower back. Now begin to lift from the inseam of your right leg as you inhale the right foot back. Exhaling, contract your belly, lift it high as you round through plank, bending the right knee towards your nose, very softly land the foot forward, just inside of your right hand, setting the back knee down, untucking the toes. As you see that your legs are hips width apart, stack the front knee right over the heel and press the right foot firmly into the ground. Then rising up, press your hands down into the very top of your right thigh, really firming that hip crease downward so that you can lift the spine upward. Rolling the fronts of your shoulders back, pressing them down, and then lifting through the back of your skull. Now creating a little more stability through the legs, imagine as if you're dragging them towards each other. Don't actually move them, but as you feel that, you might explore raising your arms up. Lengthening the sides of your torso by wrapping the triceps forward, opening across the shoulders. Now if your arms are up, let's play with a little bit of the air element through space, in which we backstroke the arms. And as you inhale, you sweep the palms forward and up, keeping the legs still. As you exhale, backstroking the arms, coiling your chest up, but dropping the tailbone forward. Twice more if you're moving the arms. Inhale them forward and up. Use that to invite more length up through the crown. Exhale, backstroke, coil the chest up. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, backstroke. And last time. And then set your hands to the floor. Step into plank pose of your choice, whether knees are on the floor right under your hips or legs are straight, actively pressing your heels back. So let's stay about 3 breaths in plank, stacking the shoulders right over your wrists. Press the ground away and create some space in the shoulders as you look at the floor ahead. And feel your navel draw in towards the spine. Tailbone lengthening, slightly down and back. Now as you exhale, lower your knees, bend the elbows back, lower your chin, look forward, firm the belly in. Slide your chest, pelvis, and legs onto the ground, entering Sphinx pose. So walking your forearms in front of you so you can lift your chest off the floor. Land your elbows just beneath your shoulders, palms face down. And then as you feel your toes, can you fan them wide, feeling the spaces between them? Aliveness in your toes. Imagine you could stream energy back through your big toes to help lengthen your lower back. Press down with your forearms and take a wide breath across your collarbones, lifting your sternum as you look slightly down. 2 more breaths. For any of you that might be having lower back issues, you might opt to take this Sphinx pose in place of Cobra and definitely in place of upward facing dog. But if you'd like to come into Cobra, glide your hands back so your wrists land alongside your floating ribs. Hug the elbows to your sides. Ground to your toes spread. And inhale, coil your chest open. Look on the ground ahead. Tucking your toes. Press the floor away as you exhale. Lift through the belly. Lift the hips back. Downward facing dog. Let's take a lion's breath. Inhale, fill it up. Open your eyes and mouth wide. Stick out your tongue. Release any sound. And then from your lift from the inseam of your left leg. Inhale the left foot back. Contracting your belly. Exhale, round through plank, bending left knee towards your nose. As softly as you can, step the foot through just inside of the left hand. Lower the back knee. Untuck the toes. With your legs hips distance from down to your left foot and start to rise, pressing your palms face down into the crease of your left hip, the top of your left thigh. So really pressing that down, energetically drag your legs towards each other. And if you feel pretty stable here, you might raise your arms overhead. And if your arms are overhead, you might start to add some movements. Back stroking the arms behind you as you lengthen the tailbone slightly forward and down. Then inhale, palms sweeping forward and up. Encourage rise of energy through the spine. Exhale, backstroke the arms into a gentle back bend, lifting the chest. 3 more. Inhale, forward and up. Keeping your legs firm here. Exhale, backstroke. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, backstroke. Breathe in and breathe out. This time stepping into plank for 1 inhale. Find a strong line of energy from crown down the midline of your body through your inner heels. Now lower, knees, chin slither, or this time glide forward on an exhale through Chaturanga Dandasana. Grazing your elbows by your ribs, entering Cobra or Sphinx pose. Ground to your toes spread. Inhale, lifting your chest. Tucking your toes. Exhale, draw the belly in to lift through your plank. Then hips back. Downward facing dog. Again, lion's breath. Take a deep inhale. Make any sound. Let it feel releasing. Bend your knees. Look forward of your hands. After exhaling, try to hold your breath out as you walk or lightly hop your feet to the top of the mat. Pressing your shins to the ground, inhale, lift your heart through your upper arms, gaze forward. Exhale, fold. Firming down through your feet, inhale, circle your arms overhead, watch your palms touch. Tracing your midline, exhale, arms down into mountain pose. Sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep the space around you. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, press shins to the ground, lift the chest, lengthen forward. Step back into plank. If you're ready, float into chaturanga if you choose, lowering in your way for cobra, sphinx, or upward facing dog as you breathe in. Use the belly as you lift the hips, downward facing dog. We'll pause there for about 3 breaths. Two more cycles of Surya Namaskar A. Bend your knees when you're ready. At the end of the exhale, hold it out. Lift your pelvic floor as you walk or float to the top. Breathe in, lift the heart, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Root into the earth to rise as you breathe in. Exhale, standing tall, mountain pose. Start to go at your own pace of breath, inhaling to lift and exhaling to fold. Inhaling to rise halfway and exhaling to lower, whether you step or float back. Follow your own route through your vinyasa. And when you land in downward dog, give yourself 3 or so breaths to rebalance the breathing. Feel a sense of space so we're not constantly moving. And when you decide, walk or float forward and take 1 full round on your own. Let's meet again in downward facing dog. And as you're arriving in downward dog, I invite you to just release any sounds through your mouth. Feel that vibration at your throat, perhaps at your chest. Just helping to open up your throat energy center through sound. You could hum, you could flutter the lips, make a nice loud roar, sigh. Couple more breaths here. Now, as you see your feet lifting from the inseam of your right leg again, inhale, raise the right foot back. As you exhale, round through plank so that you can quietly land the foot just inside the right hand again. But this time, with your feet hips width apart, spin your left heel to the floor, turning the toes slightly to face forward for Warrior One. So adjust your stance as needed so that you're able to press both soles of your feet entirely into the ground. It might require a slightly shorter stance or the feet wider than hips distance so that both your hips are evenly facing forward too. And feel the strength of your legs, feel the strength of your belly drawing in as you press down with your feet and slowly rise on an inhale into Virabhadrasana 1. Nice. So here, feel that your right outer hip is drawing slightly back as you completely straighten your left leg. Outer left heel is pressing into the earth as your left outer hip draws forward. So we're going to play with some movement here. We talked about the air element before today and how air or wind moves in different directions within our bodies. So let's begin by placing the palms together in front of you, arms straight forward, shoulders relaxed. Now find a slight lift in your frontal hip bones. so the belly is contained. As you inhale, straighten your right leg by plugging the thigh bone back into the hip socket and open your arms wide, like wings spreading. As you exhale, re-bend the right knee just over the heel, bring the palms back together. Just like that, 3 more. Inhale, straighten, arms wide. Exhale, bend, palms together. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. So this expansion outward is called Vyanavayu. It's this wind that moves from the center out. Now, as you rebend the front knee, stay there. Raise your arms overhead, whether your palms are touching or not. Arms straight, shoulders relaxed. And then steady your gaze forward or up, another 3 breaths. Noticing the negative space in between your ears, your arms, just around your body, wherever you can notice. Bring your hands behind your back here, and we're going to open up the chest a bit by either pressing fist to fist, holding opposite elbows or forearms, or bringing the palms together with fingertips pointing up in reverse prayer. Walk your left foot forward, maybe another foot towards the right foot, so a slightly shorter stance. You can straighten both legs for pyramid pose. Keeping your hips evenly facing forward, imagine lifting your kneecaps by contracting the front muscle of your thighs. As you breathe in, roll your shoulders back, look up. Spread your toes from down through the feet and exhale. Begin to fold 1/3 of your range. Pause, then inhale. Draw the right hip back if it's come forward a bit, and lengthen your sternum towards your front wall. With the belly firming in, fold another 1/3. And just keep going at your own pace of breath, holding the last 1/3 for a few. Feel the open space at your throat as you broaden your chest. Pressing down through both feet, inhale, lift your spine parallel to the floor. Lower your left hand just beneath your left shoulder and use your right thumb to tack the outer crease of your right hip back, re-leveling your hips. From down to your feet, and inhale, stretch the spine forward. Keep the shoulders back, and exhale, begin to turn your chest to face your right wall, breath by breath. Raising the right arm up in revolved triangle pose, Parita Trikonasana. Now you could opt to place your left hand on the outside of your right foot. You could also use a block under your hand and just feel it out. So you take about 3 more breaths here, spiraling the torso, helping to decompress your spine and offer it even more space once we come out. One more deep breath. Look down at your right foot. Exhale, lower into downward facing dog. If you like, add a vinyasa through plank or a few cat-cows first. Tune into the sound of your breath. And as you arrive in downward facing, lifting from the inseam of your left leg, inhale the foot back. Rounding forward, exhale, bend the left knee towards your nose, mindfully placing the foot inside of the left hand. With your feet hips width apart, spin the back heel down so the toes are slightly facing forward. Pressing through both feet, engage the belly, and inhale, rise up to stand in Warrior One. Now feel that your 2 hips are evenly facing forward and you're slightly lifting your frontal hip bones while you completely straighten your back leg. Keep that, bring your palms together with arms straight forward of you. And inhale, open the arms wide as you straighten the left leg, scissoring the left outer hip further back. Exhale, bend the front knee, bring your palms to touch. 3 more. Inhale, open, straighten leg. Exhale, close, bend the left knee. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Finishing it off. And the next time you bend your front knee right over the ankle, feel your right outer heel pressing the ground firmly as you spiral the inseam of your right leg towards your rear wall. Raise your arms overhead, palms together or not. Drop the shoulders, but lift the heart. And then steady your eyes softly on one spot as we take 3 more breaths here. In Virabhadrasana 1. Bringing your arms behind your back, let's prepare to open the chest in pyramid pose. Whether you press fist to fist, hold the other forearm or elbow on top, or reverse prayer palm to palm. Step the right foot, perhaps another foot forward to shorten your stance so that both heels are on the floor, both legs are straight, both hips facing forward. Engage the front muscle of your thighs and inhale, roll your shoulders back, look up. Engage the belly and exhale, hinge forward, just 1/3 at a time, breath by breath. Feel that your left hip shifts back as much as the right hip here as you're bowing. Parsvottanasana. About 3 more breaths here. Feel all the sides of your neck here, hanging freely as the shoulders rise back. Feel the foundation of your legs, your feet grounded without gripping the toes. Feel the space between the toes. Inhale, lift the spine parallel to the floor. Set your right hand down just beneath your right shoulder. Feel free to use a block. Use the left thumb and hook the left outer hip back as you inhale to lengthen through your crown forward. With the shoulder sliding back, exhale, begin to turn your chest to face your left wall, breath by breath. Raise your left arm up high. Feel your shoulders and wrists begin to stack. And maybe explore placing the right hand on the outside, the left side of your front foot. Optional. Harita Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose. Let's take another 3 breaths here. Let it go. Really good advice when we're in a spinal twist. As we're promoting space in our abdomen, we're helping things flow through it. And then look down at your left foot, take a deep breath. Exhale your hands to the floor, choose to take a vinyasa, cat-cow, or child's pose, or simply step back to downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Slowly walking your hands towards your feet, folding over your legs at the rear of your mat. Lift your toes, make sure your feet are parallel here, hips distance apart. And then slip your palms face up under the soles of your feet in Padahastasana, stretching the outer wrists and back body. Shift your weight towards the front of your heels and inhale, press your heart through the gates of your upper arms. Draw your belly in and hinge as you exhale, dropping the head completely and perhaps bending the elbows apart. to lift the shoulders away from your neck. Let's try that once more. Inhale to rise halfway, lengthening the spine. Exhale, fold, perhaps even deeper. Maybe shaking the head or making any releasing sound through the mouth. Slipping your palms out from underneath. Walk your hands forward and come down onto your knees. We're going to prepare for a little more opening in the chest and the shoulders. But before doing that, we need to create a little more space in the fronts of the thighs and the hip flexors. So we'll do so in hero's pose. So see if you're able to sit on your shins here with the toes pointing back. If not, you can place a block or a stack of blocks in between your ankles so that you can sit up a little higher. The knees may like that better. If you are sitting on your shins comfortably, you might even use your hands to gently roll your calves aside so that you can sit on the ground right in between your ankles. And just see what your knees are telling you they need. And then make sure that your toes are all pointing back, they're not turning out, pressing even the pinky toenails on the ground. The knees are no wider apart than hips distance. And then from here, think of lifting your frontal hip bones, lengthening the tailbone down and sitting up tall. Maybe you stay here. Or you start to lean back, walking the hands behind you slowly as you breathe. You might lower the forearms to the floor, drawing the tailbone further forward so as not to compress your lower back. We're here for about 5 to 10 more breaths. You might explore lying down, just feeling into how your body is leading you here, and perhaps bringing the arms overhead, holding opposite elbows. Maybe a few breaths and then switching the elbow on top. Supta Virasana, supine hero's pose. We're down to about 4 or so breaths in whatever variation you're in. Feel the space in between your eyebrows here. Notice the energy in that space. Feel the energy of your jaw. Now, if you're lying back, take your time, a few breaths, pressing the ground so that you can slowly lift your torso upright. And as you come back to sit, take a block, please, and we'll come to stand on our knees to prepare for Ustrasana. So using that block by the skinniest width, firm your thighs into it. So you want to feel your outer hips firming into your midline to support the lower back. Now, as you place your hands on your lower back with fingertips face down, tuck your toes behind you. We're going to take this 3 rounds, so we'll ease into the depth of it, of your range. Now, as you press your hips slightly forward, try to keep your pelvis directly above your knees, the whole pose. Draw your tailbone actively towards the ground right between your knees, while lifting your back ribs away from your tailbone so that you're stretching the lower back through those 2 actions and the belly slightly firms in. And just by bending your elbows closer together, notice the effect of broadening your chest. As you take a deep breath, puff up your chest and lift your shoulder heads back, then down, right under your shoulder blades, contracting to create the back bend. Pressing the hips forward, take another 4 or 5 breaths here. You might be starting to look up. Now, if it's reachable, you might play with backstroking your right arm so the hand catches hold of your right heel. And then on the second round, you could do the opposite arm. Otherwise, both hands can stay on the lower back. Keep hugging the block, keep drawing the tailbone down. And then when you decide that you're ready to come out of camel pose, both on the lower back, contract your belly. On an inhale, slowly lift your spine one vertebra at a time, upright. And then you can use that block right between your ankles to sit on as we pause for about 3 breaths, perhaps placing your hands at your heart center. And just observe how you feel here. All right, round 2 of 3, using the block again between your thighs, tucking the toes or pointing the toes if you feel like you want to go a little further into reaching back. Place the hands in the lower back, firm the thighs into the block, draw the tailbone down, lift the back ribs. As you bend the elbows closer together, inhale, lift the chest and roll your shoulder bones back then down, focusing the back bend right under your shoulder blades. Now, if you backstroked your right arm on the first side, perhaps you backstroke the left arm here, catching hold of your heel. 5 or so breaths. So this is a wonderful pose to encourage an open front body, expansive lungs. So letting your breath promote that lung expansion. When you decide you're done, hands in the lower back, slowly roll your spine upright, maybe using the block again as a stool to sit on as you rest for about 3 breaths. And when you're ready, round 3, Ustrasana, camel pose. Set up your toes as you need, set up your block, your hands, and you're on your own for 5 to 10 deep breaths. Now, if you backstroke one hand at a time, you might see if both heels are available to reach this time without sweeping the pelvis behind the knees. So keep the pelvis right above your knees. Practicing kindness and honesty with yourself as you respond to how your body is guiding you. Feel into your breath. Take your rest whenever you're ready to on your own. And as we stay another 5 breaths to rest in whatever comfortable seat works for you, I offer a mudra for heart energy center activation, and it symbolizes purity. It represents that. It's the lotus mudra, bringing the inner thumbs, heels of the palms, the inner pinky fingers to touch. The palms are face up like a blossoming lotus. And you bring the thumbs at your sternum, perhaps imagining a warm light. Color associated with the heart energy center is green, but see what light color just comes up in your imagination. You might imagine that streaming from the open sky above, ether, space, down into your heart center and into your whole being. Few more deep breaths here, slow inhales. Maybe through the lips, slow exhales. Let's finish 2 more breaths. And as you feel ready, gently transitioning onto your hands and your knees. Offering some space at the back area of the heart and the needle. So have your knees a couple inches behind your hips as you place your wrists just beneath your shoulders. We're going to move in and out first before we land in the pose. So on an inhale, sweep your right arm up towards the sky. And on an exhale, thread the right arm under your left elbow. Right side of your head might tap the floor, but inhale, lift up again, right arm towards the sky. Exhale, thread it underneath, all the while keeping your hips as squared as possible, as leveled as possible. Inhale, right arm up. This time prepare to land and we'll hold. Placing the right side of your head or on the floor. Now as you lift your left elbow bent, let it stack just above your left wrist. Send your left hip towards your rear wall in an effort to balance your hips. And then feel your shoulder blades melting down your back. As they separate, breathe into the space between them. About 4 more breaths here. And as you're ready, press the ground away, slowly rising back to hands and knees. Preparing to move in and out on the left side first. Inhale, raise your left arm, open up your wings. Exhale, thread it underneath the right elbow. You might tap the ground with the left side of your head, you might not. Inhale, raise the left arm. Exhale, thread it underneath. Inhale, lift up. And this time, prepare to hold and thread the needle. Setting your head all the way down, feel free to use a prop here if that's more comfortable. Stack your right bent elbow just above your right wrist. Send your right outer hip towards your rear wall. Soften the shoulders away from your neck. And then center your mind's eye into the space between your shoulder blades. Breathe into that. About 4 more cycles. As you feel ready, let's pause in child's pose, bringing the inner edges of your feet to touch. We'll have a shoulder opening variation in the arms in child's pose, so you may want to grab your 2 blocks, placing them on their lowest height across your mat in front of you. So that as you extend your arms forward, you can roll your triceps towards the ground and place your bent elbows on the blocks exactly your shoulders distance apart. You might need to scoot your knees further back so that you're able to press your fingertips together. And dropping your head towards the ground, trace your thumbs towards the back of your neck. As far back as it's available. And then just resting here for about 5 long exhalations through your mouth. Cooling exhalations through the mouth. Again, letting any sound release. Make sure your elbows remain shoulders width apart and don't splay wider than that here. Your shoulders move back away from your neck. As you're ready, releasing your arms straight so you can lift your torso slowly upright, bringing your legs out in front of you to sit in Dandasana stick pose. We're going to prepare to fold forward, so if you'd like to grab your strap, you can place it around the balls of your feet here. And if you'd rather not use a strap or don't have one, just place your hands alongside your hips on the floor. To separate your feet hips distance apart, flex your feet and press your big toe mounds forward. Root down to your 2 sitting bones and firm your outer hips towards your midline. Lift your entire rib cage, soften in the bottom front ribs. And then roll your shoulders back then down, lifting your heart with your throat open. Breathe in. Extending through your sternum, exhale, begin to fold. If you're not holding the strap, walk your hands down the backs of your legs. And then find your own range here, breath by breath, where you could integrate a slight back bend, a slight baby cobra pose in your chest lifted. If you're reaching hold of your feet with your hands, you might clasp your big toes with your peace fingers and flare your elbows apart as you draw your heart forward and up. Let's take another 3 deep breaths here in Paschimottanasana. Opening up your entire back body. With your belly firming in to support your lower back. Leading from your chest with an inhale, slowly rise up. I invite you to spend 1 minute in your chosen cooling inversion. That might involve a block supporting your sacrum in a variation of shoulder stand. It might involve using a folded blanket in shoulder stand where you lift your legs straight up. So take your choice, or you could place your legs on a couch or against a wall if you have that available. So 1 minute. Lifting your legs. Bend your knees any amount so it feels as effortless as possible. Let it be a calming, cooling, relaxing position. And to help with those qualities, you might breathe deeply into your abdomen. Take up space there with a breath in, and then gently exhaling, soften the belly towards your spine. Inhaling, the belly expands. Exhaling, the belly softens. If you are in the completely vertical Salamba Sarvangasana shoulder stand, you might move into Halasana, legs overhead and plow. Then as you're ready, with the guidance of your hands, very gently and slowly lowering upper back, middle back, tailbone to the ground. If you're propped up on something, slowly lower your pelvis. And let's meet with the knees bent, feet on the floor, preparing for the other thread the needle to open the hips. So as you turn out your right thigh at the hip, flex your right foot and cross the ankle over your left thigh, like a figure 4 shape. Either press your right palm on the top inner side of your right thigh, helping display it open, or thread your right hand between your thighs, using both hands to catch your left thigh or shin, bringing your left leg closer to your chest as you might nudge your right thigh open with your right elbow. And feel that your head and shoulders are completely resting down. Breath is smooth. About 3 more breaths here. If you've lifted your left foot off the floor, place the left foot on the ground again. Use your right index and middle fingers to clasp your right big toe. Keep flexing your right foot, and then begin to turn out your right thigh to the outside of your right ribs, extending the right leg. You might press the left palm on the very top of your left thigh to make sure the left hip stays on the ground. Maybe straightening the left leg forward on the ground too, flexing the left foot as well. So this is a supine version of what we often do standing upright, balancing in hand to big toe pose, or Uttita Hasta Parangushtasana. Let's take a couple more deep breaths. And then as you bend your right knee, bend your left knee, set your 2 feet on the ground. Turn out your left thigh at the hip and flex the left foot, crossing the ankle over your right thigh. Try to go for the same version of the pose as you did on the first side. So you might be pressing left palm on the top inner side of your left thigh here. Or you might be threading the left hand between your thighs and using both hands to catch hold of your right leg, slowly bringing it in as you nudge your left thigh open with your left arm. And then tune into the sound of your breath. Feel your shoulders and hips grounded. Let's take one more breath here. Now, stepping your right foot on the ground if it's lifted, use your left index and middle fingers to clasp your left big toe. Keep flexing your left foot. Turn out your left thigh to the outside of your left ribs. And you might use your right palm to press into the top of your right thigh here. You want to make sure the right hip stays on the ground as you begin to extend the left leg, whatever degree, out to the left. You might also extend the right leg forward and flex the right foot too. Supta Uttita Hasta Parangushtasana. Last 2 deep breaths. From here, draw your bent knees into your chest. Gather everything in. As you give yourself a tight embrace, maybe even lifting head and shoulders, close your eyes and notice, even though you're compressed inward, can you feel into any negative space in between your limbs, in between chin and chest, anywhere? Take a deep inhale. Hold your breath in at the top. Maybe sip in a little more. And then completely release everything. Exhale, the limbs. And allow yourself to take up space on the floor as we enter a few minutes of stillness in Shavasana. Here's a bit more information about ether element or space from Bunyan Botanicals. This is from an Ayurvedic perspective. When you express clear or unfettered space element, you accept your own and others' situations. You feel flexible and open-minded. You accommodate changes and challenges with a natural ease because you do not hold too tightly to the way you would like things to be. The spaces of the body are healthy and neither too constricted nor too lax. The intestines are free of bloating and bowel movements occur daily without discomfort. If you'd like to join me for 5 minutes meditating on the element of space, please let your body move gently out of Shavasana in its own way as you make your way up into a comfortable seat. To feel the ground beneath or the surface below as you press into it with your body. Feel the spaciousness of your spine and your heart area as you roll the shoulders back and lift to the crown. Set your hands in a mudra of your choice, perhaps bringing thumb and index finger to touch, Dhyana mudra for concentration. And choose to either close your eyes or steady your soft gaze on one spot ahead. And now as you allow your breath to just flow naturally, perhaps resting your attention where you can feel it the most, I invite you to contemplate on this question. Is there any area in my life where I could cultivate a balance of space? Is there any area in my life where I could cultivate a balance of space? Without efforting to answer this question, sit back and let whatever thoughts, images, words, or nothing to arise. Just listening inward for a moment. Now you may have pinpointed an area in your life, whether it be a relationship, physical body somewhere, your mind, context like work or your home environment, wherever it is that you might be able to cultivate balance of space. That means decluttering or allowing more space or taking up more space if that's what's needed. I invite you to visualize what that would look like to experience a balance of space in that particular area of your life. Let any of your senses experience it. How would it feel in your body, in your mind? What would it sound like? How would it feel emotionally? And then just sit in the aftermath of that. Just a few more seconds. Just be in the space you've cultivated in this practice. If you'd like to close, bringing your palms to meet at your heart, I invite you to bow in towards your own inner guidance. Let's finish our practice chanting one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.